Because when I first moved to New York, I discovered New York and discovered.
When was this?
This was in 2015.
Okay.
I discovered Brooklyn, and some of my friends took me out to these crazy parties in Brooklyn to see these awesome DJs who are super talented. And I've always been fascinated with this this thing that happens at concerts where people are willing to stand as close as possible to the other person that they don't know in order to get as close as possible to the stage. And so, like, what is it about that particular landscape that allows people to let themselves be vulnerable, essentially, but to also, it's a different style or a different kind of connection that occurs in that type of landscape. And the same is true for the dance floor and when you have a good DJ. So what is it? Because two people dancing together who have just met each other on the dance floor could have two totally different political viewpoints, right? Or could see, not even just politics, but could see the world fundamentally in totally different ways. And yet, what is going on at dance floor is powerful enough to have the people there not care, or that's not even they understand that is not the meaning of life, or that's not the essence of life in that moment. And even if it's just for a moment, they understand that whether or not they share the same political opinions is not really what is meaningful in that moment, right? So that would never really be a thing to come up, or it certainly wouldn't be the first thing to come up. It would be this attempt at connection, period. And so what is it about the generation of the music happening with the DJ that conjures that? And how can you take that, bottle that, and then put it into a landscape like Twitter, for example? Or is it even possible to do that?
All right. That's quite amazing. So I think you're being even a little cautious in terms of what you're proposing about two people on a dance floor.
Okay.
Because if I model this based on my experience of people, if two people met in the circumstance you're talking about, and they found themselves on a dance floor together, and they danced well together, which has a whole deep meaning to it, whatever that meaning is.
Sure.
I'm convinced we haven't unpacked it enough.
Okay.
But let's say two people experience, they groove well together, right? And then they discover that they do have some difference in opinion that is supposed to be unbreachable.
Right. It totally changes the nature that they view that difference. And how they view that difference.
It heavily, not only does it predispose them to find, because they have connected in this sort of mysterious, mystical way that dancing involves, they then, know that there is something. Right. That person is not the monster.
Because you're connected to them.
You're already connected in some deep way, so you could find your way back there.
Yeah.
And you have an incentive to figure out, well, surely that thing that we differ over can't be the sum total of it, because then it negates whatever was implied by the dance.
Right, and it has to be, because otherwise it would indict you.
Right. It would mean that it would mean that you had danced with the enemy.
Right. It would mean that the enemy shared some aspect of you, or had some aspect of you in them, and